Happy Sunday, everyone. I'm still trying to figure out routine with videos, but I thought maybe Sundays will be a week in review video to address anything that I haven't made a video about specifically. And there'll just be clips here and there. So this will be a week in review. It was a pretty good week. It was, fairly busy. I got some different projects done. We had quite impressive variations in weather. It was very spring-like one day. The buds on the not nasturtiums, on the daffodils looked like they were going to be opening up any time. And I did a blog post that said, if there's no snow, it might as well be spring. And the next morning there was snow on the ground. It wasn't much. It was gone by the end of the day. But it was still falling when I got up, and it was just really lovely to watch. You can see that a few videos back on here. And then it has gotten quite cold the past couple of days. Like, I think we were in the teens a couple of mornings ago. I mean, obviously not as cold as some other areas, but relatively cold for us. And the ground is kind of icy in spots. And that's why I haven't been doing much work in the garden outside. Although today, when it warms up a little bit, I think I will go out there and move a little bit more wood chips. I'm a little concerned that I will dig into the pile, and because it was wet from rain and frozen precipitation, I'm just going to run into really hard spots. So I'm thinking I'm going to go out and do that today, but I may put that off until tomorrow. Both days were supposed to be in the 50s and going up to the upper 60s later on in the week. I do need to go out and get a little bit more bird seed. I only feed the birds in the winter time. And maybe arrange for some compost to be delivered. I don't know. I need to get the wood chip pile completely down before I order compost, because then I'll put down a tarp and they'll dump it on there. And other than that, I had a nice visit with a friend the other morning. I've been going to a clay class at the Visual Arts Center, and I will put in, at the end of this section, I'm going to put in just a few pictures of the pieces. I have 3 pieces that have been bisque fired, and we have yet to learn how to glaze, so we're going to glaze those and fire those again. And I have a coil built. I wanted it to be like a matcha mug, and I'll just see how much it shrinks in the first firing. But I did do a slip, painted black slip on there. Well, it's not black yet, but it will be black when it's bisque fired. And I think we're going to do slab building this next Friday. So that's been fun too. It's I'm not sure how much clay work I'm going to do going forward, just because I have all these other projects that I'm working on. But I'm happy to be getting like an initial introduction to working with clay, and that's been great. And yeah, it's been a good week. I've been feeling okay about life alone, and that's good. It's coming up on 9 years that I've been living here, and I always thought, well, I'm going to go back to California. I'm going to be closer to my family. Maybe my ex and I will get back together. All these thoughts. And at first I had this number of 5 years in my head. And then I've been thinking, well, maybe it'll be 9 years, because when after I'd gotten married and our daughter was born, we moved to Phoenix and we lived there for 9 years, and then we got back to California. So I thought, well, maybe it'll be 9 years. But it's very interesting because I'm not feeling like that now. And maybe that number has more to do with me actually moving into this new phase of my life. That sounds really weird since I've been living it, but it's one thing to live in a space and work through things, and it's another thing to get to the place where I feel solid and grounded and more accepting of life as it is and more appreciative of life as it is. So that's been kind of an interesting thing that's happened to me over this past week as well. It's a lot more challenging, I think, personally, but who's to say? I don't live anybody else's experience, to be this age and to be moving into something so different and new. It's not like being in your 20s or being in your 30s or even being in your 40s. This is like, it's just a different phase of life. And for women in particular who may have gone through any kind of bereavement or divorce after a long marriage, and stepping into this different kind of space with yourself, especially when it has to do with spirituality and esoterics and creative energy, is it's very interesting. And I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to move through this like I have, even though it's just been really hard at times. But everybody goes through hard stuff. So I'm going to leave that for now, and I will put the few clips of what's been going on this week, this past week. We're in a new week now. And we'll see if there are any videos during the upcoming week. Maybe when I get more stuff done in the garden, I'll do it then. So I hope you all have a lovely week ahead. I did have a couple of kitchen projects this week. The main one that took the longest was making ghee. I hadn't made ghee in years and years. But a friend of mine, Heather, who's here on YouTube and also on Facebook, Heather Foley, she had posted some pictures of making ghee, and I thought, I need to make ghee too. So that took a while. I don't know how many, maybe a couple of hours, just letting the butter simmer slowly, very, very slowly, until all the milk solids fell to the bottom and turned just kind of golden. And then I also made a congee, or a porridge. I'm reheating some here. Doesn't look like much right now. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to put a little water with it. But this is just barley flakes that I cooked with a little bit of salt and lots of water to make a little bit of a porridge with it, because I want to be doing different types of grain, whole grain porridges, maybe not every morning, but still fairly frequently during the winter time. And then I've been thinking a lot about aduki beans, or azuki beans, particularly in the context of sweet red bean paste, because I love sweet red bean paste. So I looked up some recipes, but I didn't want it so sweet to be as like a dessert. So I followed the directions for just cooking the beans, which they say you boil them for 10 minutes and then pour that water off because of the bitterness, and then you just put more water on them and you just cook them for an hour, or it might have been an hour and a half. And I cooked them, and then I took a lot of the liquid off of them, most of the liquid, and I put in a little bit of honey and a little bit of miso. So they're a little bit sweet, a little bit salty, and I put them on top of the porridge when the porridge is warm. So it's kind of like a little bit of a sweet, savory breakfast. So that's the other thing I worked on this week in the kitchen. I didn't really, I did some cooking, obviously, like I always do, but those were like a little bit more time-consuming projects that last me more than a day. I find if I cook porridge that is, or congee, and I cook as much as I might use in 3 or 4 different servings, I can have it over the course of the week instead of cooking it every day, because a lot of times I get to breakfast, I get up and I have my tea, and I don't eat for about an hour and a half after my tea, that I kind of feel like, I'm doing other stuff and I don't really want to cook porridge again. So, yeah, so that's the kitchen projects this week. My all-purpose room down here, there's Avery on her little couch. I did get some seeds started. These are just Angelica, which had been in the refrigerator, so they're stratified. And then a little bit of Italian parsley and a chamomile seed that is from Poland. It's a variety from Poland. So these are going to take a while. I think germination for the Angelica is 30 days or something like that. So I won't be starting any other seeds, I don't think. I have a trip to Florida to see my brother and sister-in-law and their family down in Florida at the end of the month. So I don't want to be starting a whole lot of seeds before I go. And starting the tomato and pepper seeds before that, I started them too early last year. So when I get back from there, I will be really getting into my seed starting. And then the other one thing I wanted to show was this cute little lamp a friend of mine gave me. It's just a battery operated one, but it was so neat because I saw it and I went, oh. My friend said, I know exactly where you're gonna put that. So isn't it sweet? It is so sweet. I love it. What good friends. That's my jar of sweetgrass that I grew last year. I did not braid it because a lot of them they're not quite long enough. But they use sweetgrass in Poland too. They call it bison grass there. Mostly, I think it's a strewing herb. So it's like thrown on the floor, so when you walk on it, it smells sweet. And it's also used in vodka. And I made some of my own bison grass vodka last year, which was fun.